The key to meaningful change isn't massive overhaul, but tiny, consistent shifts. If you want to become the type of person who reads more, exercises daily, or eats healthy, you don't need to transform overnight. You just need to start showing up. Make it so easy you can't say no. Read one page, do one push-up, eat one vegetable. These actions may seem too small to matter, but that's exactly the point. Small wins compound. They build momentum, and in time, they become who you are. Behind every action is an identity, and behind every identity is a system of behaviors that reinforce it. When you write, you're becoming a writer. When you study, you're becoming a learner. And every time you choose the good habit, you vote for the kind of person you want to be. Most people try to change their outcomes, lose weight, write a book, make more money, but they don't change the system beneath the surface. They set goals, but keep the same habits, expecting results. Goals are good for direction, but systems are best for progress. The focus should be on the process, not the prize. If you fall in love with the process, the results will follow naturally. Progress comes not from setting ambitious goals, but from building effective systems that support the kind of life you want to live. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. A habit is formed through a four-step loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Understanding this loop gives you the ability to break bad habits and form good ones. The cue triggers the brain to initiate behavior. The craving is the motivational force behind the habit. The response is the actual habit you perform. And the reward is the end goal that satisfies the craving. To build better habits, you need to make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. In reverse, if you want to break a bad habit, make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the response difficult, and the reward unsatisfying. It's not about willpower, it's about environment and design.
Your environment often shapes your behavior more than your motivation. If your phone is within reach, you'll check it. If the gym is 5 minutes away, you'll likely go. If the vegetables are prepped and visible, you'll eat them. The best way to change habits is to redesign your surroundings so that good behavior becomes the default. This means setting up your environment to support the actions you want to make. Visual cues are powerful. They silently direct your attention and encourage actions. Want to write more? Keep a pen and notebook on your desk. Want to snack less? Don't buy snacks. What you see consistently, you move toward. Behavior change is not about doing something once, but becoming the kind of person who does it regularly. Identity is the deepest level of transformation. Instead of saying, "I want to run a marathon," say, "I am a runner." Instead of, "I want to eat healthy," say, "I'm the kind of person who eats clean." The more you act in alignment with this identity, the more evidence you build that it's true. Each action is a vote. You don't need unanimous support. You just need a majority. Even one small action can begin reshaping who you are. Habits are like compound interest. Just as money multiplies over time when you invest it, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. It's not the result of any single workout or healthy meal, but the accumulation of thousands. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is often just a matter of consistency. What matters isn't how long it takes to succeed, but how long you can keep going. Forget perfection. Focus on repetition. One missed workout won't ruin you. One late night doesn't destroy your sleep schedule. What matters is getting back on track quickly. A habit tracker can help. Checking off each day reinforces the loop and adds motivation. The most successful people aren't the ones with the best talent. They're the ones with the best systems. They've structured their day, their tools, and their environment to make the desired behavior effortless. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on routines. By mastering your daily habits, you master your entire life. Success is the product of daily choices, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. It's what you do when no one's watching, when it's boring, when it's hard. True change happens slowly, almost invisibly, but once it takes root, it becomes unstoppable.
When building habits, friction is the enemy. The harder something is, the less likely you are to do it. That's why making habits easy is essential. Reduce the number of steps between you and your habit. Want to go to the gym? Pack your bag the night before. Want to eat better? Prepare meals in advance. Remove obstacles. Make good behaviors convenient and bad ones inconvenient. If something requires too much effort, even if it's good for you, you'll avoid it. But if it's easy, you'll slide into it almost without thinking. The path of least resistance always wins, so shape that path wisely. You can also use habit stacking, pairing a new habit with one you already do. If you already make coffee every morning and you want to start meditation, place your meditation cushion next to your coffee machine. After I make my coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. This builds a chain reaction. Your existing routine becomes a trigger for your new behavior. The more connected your new habit is to your current habits, the easier it is to adopt. It becomes part of the flow of your day, not a disruption. Tracking your habits is another way to reinforce them. A visual cue of progress, a calendar, a habit tracker, even a simple checklist can be a powerful motivator. When you see the chain of success grow, you won't want to break it. That small win each day builds identity and momentum. And if you do miss a day, the rule is simple: never miss twice. Everyone slips. What matters is bouncing back immediately. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. Another trick is the 2-minute rule. When starting a new habit, scale it down to just 2 minutes. Read 1 page. Do 1 push-up. Write 1 sentence. The goal is to make starting so easy you can't fail. Once you start, you'll usually keep going. But even if you don't, you've succeeded in reinforcing the identity: I'm the kind of person who shows up. That's the foundation. The beginning is always the hardest part. Make it frictionless. Let momentum build.
Rewards matter too. Every habit needs a reason to stick. The brain likes rewards. That's what reinforces the behavior loop. Make good habits satisfying. That can be as simple as marking an X on a calendar or telling yourself, well done. If you want a habit to last, you need to feel good about it in the moment, not just later. That positive feedback encourages repetition. On the flip side, to break a bad habit, make it unsatisfying. Add a consequence. Share your goal with someone who will hold you accountable. You're more likely to stay consistent when someone's watching. Your social group plays a huge role in your habits. We imitate the people we're around. If you want to change your behavior, join a group where your desired habit is the norm. Humans are tribal creatures. Belonging matters more than logic. If everyone around you eats healthy, exercises, and reads, you'll do the same to fit in. If your friends complain, procrastinate, and avoid discomfort, you likely will too. Choose your tribe wisely. Your habits are contagious. Environment design isn't just physical, it's digital too. If you want to reduce screen time, log out of distracting apps. Move them off your home screen. Use website blockers. If you want to learn more, subscribe to educational content. Let your digital environment push you in the direction you want to go. Every little adjustment adds up. You're not trying to make it impossible to fail. You're trying to make it harder to go the wrong way and easier to go the right one. In the end, success is rarely about radical change. It's about consistency. Tiny habits, repeated over time, shape who you become. Change doesn't require motivation. It requires a system, one that's obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. One that removes friction and adds reward.
one that turns identity into action and action into identity. You already have habits. The question is whether they're helping you or hurting you. Once you take control of your system, the results take care of themselves.
Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. It's not about being perfect. It's about consistently casting small votes in the direction of your desired identity. If you want to be a writer, write something every day. Even one sentence is a vote. Over time, these votes accumulate and shape who you believe yourself to be. The power of identity-based habits is that they create a feedback loop. The more you do something, the more you reinforce the belief that you are that kind of person. You're not simply trying to run, you're becoming a runner. You're not just learning, you're becoming a learner. This mindset shift makes habit formation a journey of self-actualization, not just a to-do list. And the most effective way to lock in this transformation is to make your habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. These 4 laws act as a blueprint for behavior change. They help you design an environment that naturally guides you to the right behaviors. Let's start with the first law. Make it obvious. You can't change what you don't notice. Habits are initiated by cues. These cues live in your environment. Your phone on the desk, your shoes by the door, the smell of coffee in the morning. To build better habits, you need to become aware of your current ones. A powerful technique is habit stacking. Pair a new habit with a current one. After I brush my teeth, I'll meditate for 1 minute. After I pour my coffee, I'll write 1 sentence. The cue becomes the trigger, and over time, the connection strengthens. Environment design also matters more than motivation. If you want to eat healthier, leave fruit on the counter and hide the chips. If you want to read more, place a book on your pillow. Visibility drives behavior. You don't need more willpower. You need a better setup. The goal is to make the cue so obvious that you can't ignore it. The second law is to make it attractive. The more appealing a habit is, the more likely it is to stick. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So, to encourage a new behavior, you have to bundle it with something you enjoy. This is called temptation bundling. For example, only watch your favorite show while on the treadmill. Only drink your morning coffee after writing a journal entry. This pairing increases the appeal and pulls you toward the habit. Social influence also plays a powerful role. We tend to adopt habits that are praised and accepted by our tribe. If everyone in your circle works out, it becomes natural for you to do the same. If your friends value reading, you'll likely pick up a book more often. Surrounding yourself with people who have the habits you desire makes it easier to adopt those habits. We imitate those we admire, respect, and feel connected to. Attraction is not just about the task, it's about the people doing it and the emotions surrounding it.
The third law, make it easy. Complexity is the enemy of execution. If something feels hard, you're less likely to do it consistently. The best habits are the ones that require the least friction. Start with a version of the habit that takes less than 2 minutes. This is called the 2-minute rule. Want to journal? Just open the notebook and write 1 sentence. Want to go for a run? Just put on your running shoes and step outside. Once you're in motion, the momentum carries you forward. Master the art of showing up. You don't need to run 5 miles. You need to become the kind of person who doesn't skip workouts. Repetition, not perfection, is what builds habits. Automate what you can. Use reminders, cues, or tools to reduce effort. Structure your environment so the good choice is the default one. Remove distractions, reduce steps, prepare in advance. The easier it is, the more likely it becomes a consistent behavior. Finally, the fourth law, make it satisfying. Immediate rewards help habits stick. Your brain learns to repeat behaviors that feel good. So when you complete a habit, celebrate it. Track your progress with a habit tracker. Marking an X on the calendar gives a sense of accomplishment. Visual proof keeps the habit alive. But be careful, never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new pattern. When habits are satisfying, they're repeated. The key is to end the behavior with something positive. Smile. Say something encouraging. Reward yourself in a healthy way. You're teaching your brain that doing the habit is worth it. In time, the internal rewards, confidence, progress, identity, become even more powerful than the external ones. And that's when you know the habit has become part of who you are.
The real measure of success isn't how long you can stick with a habit. It's how quickly you can return to it after slipping. Life will throw off your rhythm. Schedules will change. Stress will spike. But the difference between a beginner and a master isn't perfection, it's resilience. Habits are not all or nothing. They're more like a compass that needs steady adjusting. A single bad day doesn't ruin your progress. It's your ability to reset, to return, to not let one misstep turn into a spiral that makes the difference. The quicker you can return to the habit, the stronger it becomes in your identity. Plateaus are inevitable. In the beginning, results come quickly. You feel motivated, things improve, and the habit seems worth it. But then, progress slows. You hit what feels like a wall. This is the valley of disappointment. It's where most people quit. But habits don't pay off linearly. Change is often invisible until it becomes undeniable. Like water heating to a boil. Nothing seems to happen until it does. The key is to stick with the system long enough to cross that invisible threshold. Progress hides in the consistency. And when the breakthrough happens, it often looks sudden to others, but you'll know the truth. You earned it through small daily votes cast in silence. In a world obsessed with goals, systems are your advantage. Goals are about outcomes. Lose weight, write a book, grow a business. But systems are about processes, the actions you take daily. The problem with goals is that they're momentary. Once you hit them, motivation fades. But if you fall in love with the system, you don't need constant motivation. You simply follow the process. Systems focus on the long game. They're sustainable, adaptable, and identity-focused. A goal might get you to the summit, but a system keeps you climbing. Habits also scale with mastery. At first, habits are conscious. You have to think through every step. But over time, they become automatic. This frees up mental energy. Your mind is no longer focused on the habit, it's focused on improvement. This is how good becomes great. Repetition leads to efficiency, and efficiency creates space for growth. Think about typing, driving, or cooking. Once you don't have to think about how, you can think about how to improve. Habits become the platform on which excellence is built.
But beware, habits can also lock you in. They can turn into ruts. When a habit becomes automatic, you stop noticing if it's still serving you. That's why reflection matters. Regularly audit your habits. Are they still aligned with who you want to be? Have they gone stale? Growth requires not just discipline, but awareness. Be willing to upgrade or discard what no longer fits. A system that once worked may need adjustments. You are not static. Your habits shouldn't be either. Evolution is part of the process. Cravings drive action more than outcomes do. It's not the result that keeps us going, it's the feeling we associate with it. If you crave the calm after meditation, you're more likely to sit down and do it. If you crave the energy after a workout, you'll put on your shoes. That's why emotional association is so important. You're not just building routines, you're building emotional links to your future self. Visualization helps. See yourself succeeding. Feel the benefit before it happens. The stronger the craving, the stronger the behavior. Accountability accelerates everything. When someone else knows your intention, you take it more seriously.
This isn't about guilt, it's about shared standards. A mentor, a partner, a community. These relationships reinforce your habits. Public commitment adds pressure, yes, but it also adds support. And support matters more than we like to admit. Behind every long-lasting habit is usually a system of encouragement, feedback, and belonging. Don't try to do it alone if you don't have to. Collaboration strengthens consistency. Your habits become your story. They are the invisible architecture of your life. What you do repeatedly shapes your reality. Change doesn't come from massive effort in the future. It comes from small effort in the present. Habits are not just about outcomes. They are about identity. Every time you follow through, you're saying, "This is who I am." And over time, that story becomes solid. You believe it, you live it, and eventually, the results are no longer surprising. They're inevitable.
Simplicity is underrated. We think change must be dramatic to be effective, but in truth, simplicity is what makes a habit sustainable. If your routine is too rigid, too demanding, or too perfect, it'll break the moment life gets unpredictable. But if it's flexible, forgiving, and simple, it adapts. Real power comes from consistency, not intensity. The goal isn't to crush a massive workout or read for hours once a month. The goal is to never miss twice. That's how momentum is built, one small win at a time. And those small wins add up in ways that defy logic. You go from someone who tries to someone who is. Your identity shifts quietly behind the scenes, and suddenly you're living in alignment without even thinking about it. You don't need to wait for motivation to strike. Motivation is like a wave. It comes and goes. Action is the anchor. When you act first, motivation follows. You feel better after the run, not before. You feel focused after writing the first sentence, not before. So stop negotiating with your feelings. Just begin. The first 2 minutes are all you need to break through inertia. And once you're moving, the rest gets easier. The brain rewards completion, not perfection. So give yourself the gift of starting, even when it's messy, especially when it's messy. One of the most overlooked forces in behavior change is the influence of your physical environment. We think willpower drives success, but most of the time, it's the setup. Your habits are shaped by what's around you. If your phone is on your desk, you'll check it. If your gym clothes are ready by the door, you'll put them on. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So take control of your space. Design it to support the person you want to become. Make the cues for your good habits visible and convenient. Make the cues for your bad habits invisible and inconvenient. This small change creates powerful leverage. Habits compound. That's their quiet superpower. Like money, time, and love, they grow exponentially when nurtured. 1% better every day isn't noticeable at first, but in a year, it's a different life. 1% worse every day is the same, until suddenly things fall apart. This is the math of personal transformation. It's not about the finish line, it's about the slope of the curve. Direction matters more than speed. Progress isn't always loud, but over time, it becomes undeniable. The habit you struggle with today might become second nature a year from now if you just don't stop. Your habits also shape how you interpret the world. A smoker sees a cigarette and feels comfort. A non-smoker sees the same object and feels disgust. Same cue, different craving. This is why changing your habits changes your lens. It reshapes your identity and over time, your reality. The way you interpret stress, failure, and success is filtered through your habitual thinking. If you habitually reframe challenges as opportunities, life begins to feel less like a threat and more like a game. You start playing offense instead of defense. Success is less about what you do and more about what you consistently avoid. Saying no is a skill. Avoiding distractions is a muscle. Good habits create freedom. They automate your best self. They remove the mental tax of decision-making. You don't need to wonder if you'll go to the gym. You just go. You don't need to debate if you'll scroll your phone. You've removed the app. The clearer your boundaries, the more energy you save. That energy becomes your creative fuel. And when your best self becomes your default self, you no longer rely on willpower. You rely on identity. But identity is not fixed. It's fluid. You are always becoming. That means habits are not about proving who you are. They're about exploring who you can be. Each small improvement is a step forward in that exploration. Each repeated action is a vote for the future version of yourself. You're not trying to change overnight. You're trying to cast votes in the right direction. It's not about being flawless. It's about becoming reliable. When your habits reflect your values, your life starts to feel meaningful, not just efficient.
Transformation is rarely loud. Most of the real change happens quietly. In the early mornings when no one's watching. In the small decisions no one will praise you for. In the quiet moment when you choose to walk away from distraction and back toward your values. This is where the true architecture of character is built. In silence, in solitude, and in the spaces in between. The habits you commit to during these invisible hours are what shape your visible results. The world may not see the effort, but it will always see the outcome. Time is the ultimate amplifier. A good habit feeds you for life. A bad habit robs you slowly, without you noticing. And it's not just about the next few weeks, it's about the next few decades. Who are you becoming if nothing changes? Who could you become if you committed now? Your future is not built in grand decisions. It's crafted in tiny repetitions. The way you answer emails, the way you treat your body, the way you speak to others, it all adds up. You're not just setting goals, you're setting the trajectory of your future. The beautiful part is that change is always available. No matter how many false starts you've had, no matter how deep the rut feels, the door to change is never locked. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for the new year or a Monday or motivation to strike. The next habit you choose to repeat can be the turning point. You can become a reader by reading one page today. You can become fit by doing one stretch now. You can become a kinder person by offering one compliment this moment. It's not dramatic, but it's decisive. There will be setbacks. There will be times you feel like giving up. That's not a sign to quit. It's a sign you're in the middle of something meaningful. Progress isn't linear, and success rarely looks like what you pictured. The best thing you can do when you lose momentum is return to the basics. Strip it all back to the smallest version of your habit, the one you can do even on your worst day. That's your anchor. That's your safety net. And the moment you do it, you're back on the path. That's the quiet power of atomic habits. And eventually, something clicks. You stop asking if the habit is working. You start noticing that you are working differently. You think more clearly. You react more calmly. You recover faster. You focus deeper. The habit is no longer a task. It's part of your operating system. And when others ask how you changed, the truth will feel almost too simple to explain. You just showed up, again and again, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. That's what makes the difference. You start to notice it in your identity. You no longer say, "I'm trying to." You say, "I am." I am someone who moves. I am someone who creates. I am someone who chooses growth. And that identity becomes the foundation of everything. It's no longer a fight.
It's who you are. The friction disappears, and what's left is clarity. You didn't need to overhaul your life. You just needed to understand the power of 1%, the power of environment, the power of repetition, and most importantly, the power of who you believe yourself to be. Because when you change your habits, you don't just change your outcomes, you change your story. You rewrite your past, you reshape your future, and you reclaim the authorship of your own life.